Sweden, a land carved by ice and war, molded by Vikings and elevated by monarchs who dreamed of power, peace, and empire. From pagan warlords to enlightened reformers, these 10 kings shaped the fate of Scandinavia, and at times the entire European balance of power. Join us as we journey through the Nordic mists of time to uncover the 10 greatest kings in Swedish history, in order from the earliest to the most recent. Olof Skötkonung, 995 to 1022. The first true king of a united Sweden and the first to embrace Christianity. Olof Skötkonung, son of the legendary Eric the Victorious, inherited a fragmented realm of Norse tribes and Viking lords. But he did the unthinkable. He forged alliances with Denmark and Norway, minted Sweden's first coins, and baptized himself as a Christian king. This was more than symbolism. It marked the end of the pagan Viking age in Sweden and ushered in a kingdom that would grow in faith, power, and ambition. Birger Jarl, 1248 to 1266. He was never crowned king, but ruled like one. Birger Jarl, the father of King Valdemar, was the architect of medieval Sweden. As regent, he brought law and order, centralized the administration, and founded the city of Stockholm, today's capital. He introduced the peace of the land, outlawing blood feuds and protecting women and clergy. Though technically a jarl, not a king, Birger's legacy was so foundational that no list of Sweden's greatest monarchs is complete without him. Magnus Ladulås, 1275 to 1290. Son of Birger Jarl, Magnus ruled a kingdom in flux and gave it a backbone. His nickname, Ladulås, means barnlock, symbolizing his protection of peasants from forced billeting by soldiers. He bolstered the rights of landowners and clergy, laying the groundwork for Sweden's medieval nobility. Magnus codified law, strengthened the monarchy, and built fortresses. His tomb in Riddarholmen still stands, whispering the legacy of a king who stabilized the realm and defended the weak. Gustav Vasa, 1523 to 1560, the father of modern Sweden. After decades of Danish domination under the Kalmar Union, Gustav Vasa led a rebellion that freed Sweden and crowned himself king. But his impact didn't stop there. He broke from the Catholic Church, establishing Lutheranism as the state religion. He centralized the government, broke noble power, and forged a national identity. Sweden, under Gustav Vasa, rose from the ashes as a sovereign Protestant state. He wasn't just a liberator, he was a nation builder. Gustavus Adolphus, 1611 to 1632, the Lion of the North, the Swedish Alexander. At just 17, he inherited a kingdom at war, and in 2 decades, he transformed Sweden into a European superpower. Gustavus Adolphus revolutionized military tactics, pioneered mobile artillery, and brought Protestant might into the heart of Catholic Europe during the 30 Years' War. His victories at Breitenfeld and Lutzen earned him immortality. Though he died in battle, his legacy lived on. Sweden became an empire, and Gustavus became a legend. Charles X Gustav, 1654 to 1660, a king forged by war and ambition, Charles X Gustav seized the Swedish crown after Queen Christina abdicated. In just 6 years, he led daring campaigns against Poland and Denmark, pushing Sweden's borders to their greatest extent. His most audacious moment? Crossing the frozen Great Belt in 1658, marching his army across ice to surprise the Danes and force a humiliating peace. Charles X died young, but his reign marked the height of Sweden's imperial power. Charles XI, 1660 to 1697, the quiet reformer who saved the empire. Charles XI inherited a kingdom weakened by debt and corruption, but through relentless reforms, he rebuilt the military, nationalized crown lands, and broke the nobility's grip. He created a standing army, ready for his son to lead into glory or disaster. Charles XI laid the foundation for Sweden's centralized absolutist state. He was the calm before the storm. Charles XII, 1697 to 1718, the warrior king, Sweden's last great conqueror and tragic hero. At just 15, Charles XII ascended the throne, and within 3 years was leading armies across Europe. He crushed Russia at Narva, invaded Poland, and stood unbeaten for years. But hubris led him to disaster in the snowy fields of Poltava, where Peter the Great turned the tide. Still, Charles never gave up, returning from exile to fight until a mysterious bullet ended his life in Norway. Brilliant, bold, and doomed, Charles XII symbolizes the fall of the Swedish Empire. Gustav III, 1771 to 1792, the philosopher king and the tyrant in velvet gloves. A lover of the arts, drama, and Enlightenment ideals, Gustav III brought culture and elegance to Sweden. He curbed the power of the nobility in a bloodless coup and reasserted royal authority. But not all were pleased. In 1792, he was assassinated at a masquerade ball, a scene fit for the operas he adored. A king of contradictions, both enlightened and autocratic, beloved and betrayed. Karl XVI Gustav, 1973 to present, the longest-serving monarch in Swedish history and a modern symbol. Born in 1946, Carl Gustaf became king at 27. Though stripped of political power, he has been a stabilizing presence through decades of change. He modernized the monarchy, championed environmental causes, and navigated scandals with dignity. In an age of uncertainty, he remains a beloved figure for many Swedes. He is not a conqueror or a reformer, but a symbol of continuity. And sometimes in the storm of history, that is greatness enough. From warriors and rebels to thinkers and reformers, these kings wrote the story of Sweden in fire, ink, and blood. Each left his mark on the land, the people, and the world. Some built kingdoms, others watched them fall, but all earned their place in the saga of a nation that rose from the frozen north to echo through the centuries. This was the story of Sweden's greatest kings,